All right, what's up, guys? I know it's been a while, but I've had school, and we all know the stresses of that. So I'm gonna jump right into it. Today we have a book called, it's a miniature one, so you're looking at 8 to 10 books tops. So let's jump right into it. So first we have a book called Dark Angel, and this book is pretty much about a historical fiction, and it's about King Charles III of France and what his family was like, sort of, not realistically what his family was like, because none of us were, or I wasn't born at that time. But for this one, it's more of a, oh, let's dive in and see what would have happened if we were there around that time, around the maids, around the three wives, and around all the chaos that was surrounding King Charles III at that period. So far, it's pretty good. I'm 5 chapters in, and I'm loving it. Now, I bought a book by an author that I said I would never read. So now I'm a little bit hypocritical about that. But I bought the book based on a friend's recommendation. She said if I didn't like him, this will be the best book to start off. So the author I'm talking about is Mr. Stephen King. And this is the Tommyknockers book. Now, the synopsis for this one is that it begins with nothing more frightening than a nursery rhyme. Yet in Stephen King's hands, it becomes an unforgettable parable of dread, a threat from the unimaginable darkness that drags the practical inhabitants of New England village into a hell worse than their own most horrible nightmares, including yours. Now, if that synopsis doesn't say it all, I don't know what can. So I picked it up, and the goal is to read it for October, and I'll try and vlog during October if I have time, but I probably won't with my schedule. But if you do see a vlog, please watch it, give it a thumbs up, let me know what you think about it, and let me know if you want more of the vlogging content, because there will be more. Next, we got a book by an author that I've never heard of. So in our library, we have it where we can go to the parking lot, and it's the PV library, and you go under, you have like this miniature library, and it's super cool. So every Friday they'll have a sale, and within that sale you can get paperbacks for 50 cents and hardcovers for like $1.50 each, which sounds like a really good deal to me. So the author that I picked up is Robert Ludlum. I think I pronounced that correctly. If I didn't, I am sorry. I will work on that later. So the book is called The Jansen Detective Novel. Now, I love detective novels. One of my favorite authors, where's his book at? Oh, here we go. Mr. Sousa Finder does really well on detective novels. He's the main author I read for novels like that in particular. But anyways, so I saw the colors from the cover. I was like, this seems really interesting. I should pick it up. And then I read the synopsis. One of the world's greatest men has been kidnapped. Nobel laureate, international financier, and philanthropist Peter Novak, a billionaire who has committed his life and fortune to fostering democracy around the world through his Liberty Foundation, has been captured by the forces led by the near-mythical terrorist known as the Caliph. Holding Novak in a near-impenetrable fortress, the Caliph has refused to negotiation for his release, planning instead to brutally execute him in a matter of days. Now, of course, to me, I'm thinking, what did he do that they wanted to kidnap him so bad and torture him without any negotiation? Because usually, when people torture somebody, the first thing that they're going to say is, oh, we want X amount of money from you. You only have X amount of time to do it. Like we've seen the CSI Miami's, we've seen the NCIS, we've seen the Law and Order. And that's a completely different way of twisting it. And so I want to see how is this going to play out. Are they going to be able to rescue him in time? Or is he going to have to pay the price for whatever he's done in his life? And now another new author I picked up is Patricia Cornwell in her novella called Trace. Now this book is a relatively big book for a novella, in my opinion. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like, how many pages is this? 433 pages, so it's almost a novel itself, but she calls it a novella. So we're just going to go with what she calls it. And the synopsis for this one is: Strays is the heart-stopping new Dr. K. Scarpetta thriller from America's #1 bestseller crime writer. Now freelancing from Florida, Scarpetta returns to the city that turned its back on her 5 years ago. She travels to Richmond, Virginia, which is where I'm from, at the odd behest of the recently appointed chief medical examiner, who claims that he needs her help. When she arrives, however, she finds that nothing is as she expected. Her former lab seems neither as organized nor as well run as it was. The current chief is driven by an agenda he will not reveal. And I want to see why about that agenda, what the agenda has to do with her, and why she needed to come back to her hometown that she left for a reason. And finally, for my fifth book, I have Everyone Lies by Mr. A.D. Garrett. And as you can see, there's a certain theme with these books. Well, besides the historical fiction one. But I love thrillers. Because any book that can have you on a seat of your edge are books that I really love to devour. Because they're so amazing and so hard to write sometimes. Especially with the ending of thrillers. It's like if the beginning matches the ending, it's a good thriller. But if the beginning doesn't match the ending, then it's like, I feel like I just wasted a whole bunch of time. Especially if you can figure out who the killer is right before the ending happens. I feel like that's a bad writing. But for this synopsis, it is: Detective Chief Inspector Kate Simmons is on the fast track to nowhere. 5 years ago, she helped a colleague when she shouldn't have. She's been clawing her way back from a demotion ever since. Professor Nick Fenimore is a failed genetics student, successful gambler, and betting agent crime scene officer, and one-time scientific advisor to the National Crime Facility. He is the best there is, but ever since his wife and daughter disappeared, he's been hiding away in Scotland working as a forensics lecturer. And the question is, who did it? Why is his wife and daughter missing? And why isn't he necessarily looking for his wife and daughter? And so next we have Mrs. Janet Inovich, Look Alive 21. And this is similar to the Strays by Patricia. So it's the same thing. It's a crime thriller. They want to figure out who sent the last text message to this guy that they find dead, and they want to know how he ended up dead. And finally, for the last book, we have Mr. Tommy Hogg, Kill the Messenger. Now, the messenger is a person that has to send a message to another person and hoping that they don't end up dead because of the message that they sent. Now, the guy that's in this book ends up sending a message that the person who receives it wasn't all too thrilled about the outcome that was going to happen. So he wanted his head on a stick. And now he's running for his life, trying to first please his boss and also please the man who's trying to kill him so that he can stay alive throughout this whole book and figure out why the message he had to send didn't please the man, even though that was supposed to be his job in the beginning. Alright, so that was all my 7 books. And so I hope you guys have a nice day. I'll check you back next Wednesday. Hopefully I can post next Wednesday. It depends on how my schedule's doing. But anyways, I'll check you guys later. Peace.